Hello, and welcome to a video about solving equations by elimination or by the addition method. I'm going to share a Google Doc at this time that I'm going to use as a whiteboard. So here is my first example. My first example here is this equation. So we have 3x plus 4y equals 5. So here's 4y equals 5. And my other equation is 2x minus 4y equals 10. Okay. Now, we talked about systems last time when we had our other lesson. And systems, remember, means that both of these equations have the same solution. So this x here in this problem stands for the same number as this x. And this y stands for the same number as this y. Okay. We don't know what that number is. So what we're going to do here is we're going to solve the system of equations by elimination, okay? By elimination, okay? Also called the addition method. Now, I'm going to show you several examples of this, but elimination works by, okay, so let me tell you. Elimination works by opposite coefficients. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. Opposite here means opposite sign. Opposite sign. So opposite here means positive, negative, okay? So if you look at this equation, this system here, this y term has a positive 4. This is a positive 4y. This is a negative 4y. These are opposites, opposite signs. Opposite signs. Now, coefficients, this word, means the number in front of the variable. Remember, the variables are my letters, okay? So coefficients mean the numbers in front. So here, 3 is the coefficient of x. 2 is the coefficient of this x. Positive 4 is the coefficient of this y term. Negative 4 is the coefficient of this y. When we eliminate we want opposite coefficients. If the problem already gives us opposites, then the problem is easier. Let me show you what I mean here. Remember, the other name for elimination is the addition method. The addition method. Now, sometimes we end up subtracting it, but it's called the addition method. Let me show you why. So if I take these two equations that I have here in green and I add them together. So I'm going to combine the equations together. Okay. Remember, we're trying to get rid of one of the variables. We can only solve for one equation in one variable at a time. So 3x plus 2x is 5x. 5x. Now, positive 4y plus negative 4y, positive 4 plus negative 4. Nobody wins here because they're the same size. They cancel out. This cancels, okay? And that's equal to 5 plus 10, which is 15. Okay, so what I did here was I noticed that these two terms, this positive 4y and this negative 4y, had opposite coefficients, positive 4 and negative 4. Because they have opposite coefficients, if I add the equations together, the y terms will go away automatically. So I added. Now we know from last lesson that if I want to solve for x here, that I have to divide. This is multiplication. So I have to get rid of multiplication by dividing. 5 and this is 5. A little bit small, but let me try that again. There you go. So now x, remember here I'm dividing, so this is 1. So x here, 15 divided by 5, 15 por divided by 5 is 3. Okay. Now remember that this is half of your solution. This is your x. So what we do now, just like with substitution, we pick one of these equations that I started with. It doesn't matter which one you choose, and you're going to solve that for the other variable. So let's take this over here. I'm going to choose this first equation. So I'm going to rewrite it, 3x plus 4y equals 5. And I know that x is 3. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say 3. I'm going to use the parenthesis to mean multiplication times 3. So this 3 that's in parenthesis is the 3 that I got for x, okay? So 3 times 3 plus 4y equals 5, okay? And I'm going to continue. 3 times 3, 9, plus 4y equals 5. Now, I'm going to solve this equation. And if you'd like, you can use, I'll use another color here, but you can use your line to help you. Now, I'm solving for y, so I'm going to move the 9 over first. This 9 is positive. I'm going to subtract 9 from each side of the equation. Okay. So now, these cancel. And I get 4y equals 5 minus 9. This is 5 plus -9. There are more negatives here, so the negatives win. And the difference is 4. Okay. If you need a visual for that, it looks like this. This is 5 positives, whoops. 5 positives. And then there are 9 negatives. And if we eliminate the 5 positives rather, with the 9 negatives, what we have is we have these 5 positives go out with these 5 negatives. So this they get killed. We have 4 negatives left. If we divide this by 4, solve for y, we get y equals -1. Okay. Now, when we write the answer to a question like this, we write it as a pair. We talked about this last time. We write this as a pair. So we write the answer. We write the answer. Oops. As in the form x, y. Okay. So that answer is going to be 3, -1. Okay. 3, -1 is my answer here. Okay. You can check this if you want to make sure that your answer is correct. This is your answer here. Okay. Now, you don't always have to eliminate y. Here we eliminated y. You don't always have to do that. You can eliminate x. Okay, so I'm going to show you a second example where we eliminate x. You can choose which variable you want to eliminate. Here's my second example. 6x minus y equals 2. Negative 6x plus 4y equals 10. Couple of things I wanted you to notice, okay? So as I mentioned before, we can choose, we can choose which variable to eliminate. Okay. I will choose x in this problem because these coefficients, these numbers in front of the variable, the coefficient is the number in front. The coefficient of the variable is opposite. This is a positive 6. Is the coefficient of this x term. This negative 6 is the coefficient of this x term. Now, the other thing, before we do the elimination, that I wanted to show you with this problem is that sometimes you have numbers missing. We don't have a number in front of this y. We understand it to be a 1. Now you can put it in or leave it out, but I suggest when you're learning it to put it in. And then you're going to proceed just like you did before. We're going to add the equations or combine them together. So here we go. We're going to combine it. These 6x terms cancel out. Negative 1y plus 4y. Again, think about your rules. Negative 1, positive 4, we combine it. The positive arm is larger, so I have positive 3y. 3y equals, and then this other math is pretty easy. We have 2 plus 10 It's 12. And then we solve for the y. We divide by 3 here and by 3 here. So these cancel to 1, and we get y equals 4. Okay, this is 4 now. Now we do the same thing we did before. You choose either equation. This time I'll choose the bottom one. Okay, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to choose the second equation right here. So I'm going to rewrite the second equation. I have negative 6x plus 4y equals 10. And I know from my previous work that y equals 4. So I have negative 6x plus, and I'm going to substitute the 4. So 4, and I'm going to use parentheses for multiplication. 4 times 4. This is equal to 10. Now, I'm going to continue. So I have negative 6x plus 16 equals 10. Okay. Now, before I continue here, this 4 in parentheses is this 4 here. This 4 is this one on the outside. I had to multiply these because there's no symbol between the two 4s. I'm going to finish solving my equation here by subtracting 16 from both sides. So now I'm going to say subtract 16 and if I subtract 16 on this side of the equal sign, I have to subtract 16 on the other. 16. Now, these cancel, which is what we want, and we end up with negative 6x Now on the right, I have 10, and I have negative 16. The negatives have more, and they win by how many are left? So 6. 6 are left. Now here, I'm going to divide by negative 6. Negative 6. Negative 6. Okay. So, oops, so this, there we go. -6. So that becomes x is equal to, now remember here that a negative number divided by a negative number gives us a positive answer, so we get +1, okay? My solution here is always in the form xy, so my solution, which is in the form xy, equals 1, 4, 1, 4. 1, 4 is my solution. So what have we talked about so far? We've talked about what elimination actually is. It means we're combining the equations together to get rid of one of the variables. We've talked about coefficients, which have to be opposite in sign, one positive, one negative. I can either eliminate x or y first. It doesn't matter as long as you can eliminate them. Then you solve that equation for the variable that you have left. And then you substitute it into one of the other ones to find the variable that you still need. We're going to take a look at another example where we have to do more work. That this kind of problem can get complicated. There's different situations that can arise and they can be complicated. But I'm going to show you one more example where we have to do some more manipulation, we call it. So now this example is going to show you a couple of other things that happen. The first thing that you'll notice is that here I have an equation at the bottom, but I have coefficients that are missing. Okay, you don't see a number in front of this x or in front of this y. And we saw that in the last problem as well. Whenever you have a missing coefficient, so I'm going to make a note here. That whenever a coefficient is missing, you can put in a 1. We did that before because x is like 1x, and that will help you to line things up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in a 1 in front of this x. There's a 1 there. And I'm going to put in a 1 in front of the y here. 1y. Okay. Now, Remember, the coefficients are the numbers in front. So the coefficient of this top x term is 3. The coefficient of this y term is 5. The coefficient of this x term is positive 1. I had to put it in. The coefficient of this y term is positive 1. Okay. Now, we know that elimination works by getting rid of the variables. This example is a little harder because if we were to just combine right now, we wouldn't be able to eliminate anything. If I go and I say, okay, here I have 3 and 1. That's going to be 4x, right? And if I have 5y plus 1y, that's 6y. So I'd have 4x plus 6y. Now, obviously here, I need to do some work. This is equal to 10, okay? But the problem here is that nothing eliminates. So my point here is we need to do some extra work before we combine the equation. Okay? So we can't do that. What we're going to do here is I'm going to go back now and we're going to put in, okay, we're going to first, remember we learned from before that we can eliminate whatever we need to. So we're going to decide which variable to eliminate. Decide that. Tenemos que decidir cuál letra que tienes que eliminar. We have to decide which variable we want to eliminate. So I'm going to decide to eliminate y. I'm going to make that decision. If you choose to eliminate x, that's fine, but you'll use different numbers. I'm going to eliminate y. Now, the next thing I have to do is I need to decide which equation, remember there are 2 here. There's this top equation, 3x plus 5y equals 8. This bottom equation, 1x plus 1y equals 2. I need to decide which equation to work with. I have 5y up here. If I want to eliminate it, I need a negative 5y down here. I can't just change this number, but what I can do is this. I'm going to take this equation at the bottom, and I'm going to use a giant parenthesis. I'm going to use, how about blue? Okay. Going to use a giant parenthesis. And I'm going to multiply. I want this here, this term, to be -5. So I'm going to multiply by -5. Now, when I do that, I have to multiply -5 by the whole equation. Tengo que usar este número por el entero. I have to use that for the whole equation. So, afterwards, this first equation is going to stay the same. So I have 3x plus 5y equals 8. But this bottom equation here, this bottom equation is -5 times 1x. That's going to give me -5x. -5 times +1 is -5y. -5 times 2 is -10. -10. So there's my new equation. So what I did was I decided not only what I was going to eliminate with, but then I had to multiply by -5 to get opposite coefficient. Opposite y term coefficients. Okay. So now the problem works just like we've been doing it. After that, we combine the equations together. So again, we're going to combine these equations. This time, the y's are going to go out. Positive 3x plus -5x is -2x. -2x. The middle terms cancel, the y terms cancel, because I made the decision to do that. And then I multiplied by something to do that. Here's 8 plus a -10. Negatives have more, so they win. This is -2. And then I divide both sides of my equation by -2 because of this -2 next to my x. So there's a lot of -2's in this problem. but it looks like this, okay? And I get x. Again, that's 1x, but I don't need to worry about that. My variable is isolated x. Negative divided by negative is positive, so x equals positive 1. Okay. Now, you can go back and put this 1 in one of these equations that you started, this changed equation. I suggest you put it in the original, okay? So I'm going to make a note here so you can check, you can substitute your answer for, whoops, for the variable into any equation, but I suggest the original, the beginning one, because you didn't work with this equation. So if you made a mistake, you'll find it here because you didn't change this in any way. But you could use this equation, you could use this blue equation here. You could even use this equation in the blue parenthesis, okay? So here's what this process looks like. I'm going to copy this equation over here on the right, so we have more room. So I'm going to say, I'm going to bring it over here. This is 3x plus 5y equals 8. And I'm going to say, I know that x equals 1 because we did that. 3 times 1 plus 5y equals 8. Okay. So now I have, let's continue. So I have, and I'll keep using black. 3 times 1 is 3. That's really bad 3. Let me fix it. So this is, whoops. Okay, hold on. Let me get it back. And let me just, let me just erase this. Okay. So now I have 3 plus 5y equals 8. And I'm going to get rid of this 3 on this side. So I'm going to subtract 3 here. Subtract 3 from this equation, this side of the equation. Subtract 3 from this side of the equation. So I have, I'm sorry, I said, yeah, it's 3. So these are 3's. So now these cancel. 3 minus 3. This is 5y This is 8 plus -3 or 8 minus 3, whichever you prefer. But this is 8, this is -3. 8 is positive. 8 is larger, so the positives win. So it's a positive answer, and it's +5. Okay, I'm going to divide here by 5 on each side of the equation. And I'm going to get y is equal to 1. So my solution here is, remember, it's in the form of xy. So my solution is the 0.11. Okay? Now, I have one more example where we're going to decide which variable to eliminate. We're going to have to change both equations, because sometimes we change both. And then we're going to do the process that you just saw. So let's look at that in just a moment. Okay, so this was our last example for this video. I have an equation in red, and I did that so it's easier to identify. 2x minus 3y equals -5. And 6x plus 2y equals 18. Notice that here, I can't eliminate. I have a 2 as the coefficient of this first x term. I have a -3 as the coefficient of the y term. I have a 6 as the coefficient of this blue x term, and I have a 2 as the coefficient of this blue y term. So I don't have opposite coefficients, so nothing will cancel. So the first thing I have to do is I have to make a decision. So I'm going to decide, and let me use black. I'm going to decide to eliminate. Okay. You can decide to eliminate x or y. Okay. I'm going to eliminate the x term. Okay. I'm going to eliminate the x term. So here's what I have to do. I have to find a number. I've got a 2x and I've got a 6x. I have to find a number that is what we call common. It's a common multiple of both of these. Now, what do I mean by that? I need to be able to multiply this, either the top or the bottom, by something and get the other number. So for example, we know that 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. Now, that's 6. That's good, because if I multiply this 2 by 3, I can get 6. And I have a 6 here. So I'm going to, I need 6x and negative 6x if I'm going to eliminate, because I need this coefficient. This is a 6x. I need this term to be a negative 6x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by -3. So I'm going to take my equation here, and I'm going to multiply it by -3. Okay. Now, I'm going to get a new equation when I do that. I'm not going to have this red equation. I'm going to have a new equation. And I'm going to have an equation. I'll use green for this equation. I'll have a new equation down here. Okay. This is going to be -3 times 2x. This is -6x. Let me change this to green. Okay. -6x. -3 times -3y. -3 times -3, remember that gives me positive number, plus 9y, and -3 times -5 is a positive 15. So this red equation here we started with, we want to eliminate x from the system, the red and the blue. I need a -6x where this -2x is. So I multiplied by -3 and got this green equation, -6x plus 9y equals 15. Now, I'm going to leave my second equation. I'm going to leave the second equation alone. And I'm going to get a text box. Here it is. And I'm going to rewrite this equation, 6x plus 2y equals 18. Now, I'm going to do what we did before, okay? So to catch up with my notes over here, let me catch up with my notes for a second. I multiplied. I'll write this three. Multiply the first equation by -3 to get opposite x coefficients. Now I'm going to add or combine my equations. So let's go back to black here. And let's do this. Let me go ahead and draw a line. This is going to give me my 6 x's are going to cancel out. So here, these cancel. And I have so this becomes 9 plus 2 is 11. So I have 11y equals 15 plus 18. 5 plus 8 is 13. Carry the 1, and I have 3. So this becomes 33. Now, I divide both sides by 11. Divide both sides by 11. And I get y equals 3. Y equals 3. Now, I can take this 3 back to this red equation here, the blue equation here, 6x plus 2y is 18, or even this green equation down here, but I like to use one of the original equations. I'm going to use the red equation. So I'm going to come over here now, and I'm going to say, I'm going to copy the red equation. That was the original one. 2x minus 3y equals -5. And I know that y is 3. So I'm going to say 2. Now, here, I'm going to put a 3 there, okay? So I put my 3 from the last problem that we did. So now, this becomes put this in red. This becomes minus 3y equals -5. And I have 6x, I'll write in black. Now, this is going to be 6 minus 3y equals -5. And then I solved the equation just like before. So now let me pick up the tool and draw here. So I'm going to use this and draw with the pen. So here I have -6x, sorry, just -6, no x, -6, because I'm subtracting the 6 here. If I subtract the 6 here, I have to subtract the 6 here, right? So this is I'm sorry, you know what? I made an error here. Let me fix this. Maybe this will happen to you, but I made a mistake. So here, you see what I did? This is y equals 3. I need to put the 3 where y is. So let me fix this. So this is going to be, I'm going to take one more step back. I'm going to remove this from my problem. So I have, this is going to be 2x. So now I have to write 2x minus 3 because the y is 3. So I need 3 here equals -5. That's what it should look like because I make a substitution for the correct variable, okay? Be sure you do that. Otherwise, you're going to have a different answer. So now you have 2x minus 9 equals -5. Okay, then I'm going to add 9 to both sides. So 9 here and 9 here. So this becomes 2x is equal to -5 plus 9. 9 is larger, so the answer is positive. The difference is 4. So here you get 4. And you divide by 2, which I'm going to sneak down here and divide by 2. And you get x is equal to 2. Now, when you write your solution, remember your x goes first. So your solution here is going to be your solution here is going to be the 0.23. So now the solution is 2, 3. There is a lot more to solving systems of equations like this, fractional answers, and sometimes systems don't have solutions. Sometimes they have more than one solution, but I hope that this little introduction gives you something to think about, and I hope that you learned a little something here today, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope it was helpful to you. Bye for now.